Thank
So
you so much, Anur, for
in
inviting me.
detail, I'll go through your experience and your profile. First, I'll just introduce about the agenda of this show, like why we
Done,
have
done.
started this show and like what are the things public can expect from this show. Right. So the main agenda of this show is basically to understand about the SaaS product, like how it is benefit for the customer and basically how it is different from the traditional product. Right. And like as
Okay.
an entrepreneur, how we can start or can build a SaaS product, and what are the skill which an businessman or an entrepreneur required to build a SaaS product. And at the last, like as a salesperson, how we can get a more customer or how we can build a great relationship with our client in a SaaS product. Okay.
Done,
So
done.
yeah, Akhil. So I already know you, but for our audience, like let's start with your introduction about yourself and your SaaS journey for the
Right,
SaaS
right.
product.
So I'm absolutely stoked to be a part of this session. First of all, thank you so much, Anur, for inviting me. I know that we have kind of known each other for around 1.5, 2 years now, but to give a broader idea on the audience side on what I do and what I have been doing for the past 4, 5 years that I've been into this industry, let me give you a quick insight on how it went about. I started working out of my second year of college itself. I was working as a business development manager for a company called Flipo, which was entirely dependent upon IT development, which is primarily website and application. So that is where
Okay.
I understood and started the journey where I kind of knew a little bit on the technology side of how things are built. And
Okay.
every single thing that has been done in my entire life again has added upon to what I am currently doing. So the learnings that I had in those particular timings when I was in my second year, third or fifth college, and then
Okay.
I've taken all of those learnings back to where I am today. So which is why I do have a quite a good idea on how things and products are built, how do they die down, what do you do as a part of product building process, how do you define an MVP. And for
Okay.
that matter, when I was in my fourth year of college, to be honest, I had started my own company as well, which is again, it was primarily more like
Okay.
a partial SaaS product. So if you, I
Okay.
think Shanur, you even you don't know about this, but I had a startup called Artrium. So you probably
Okay.
everyone who's there in the audience, they might already know LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
essentially for professional corporate people and employees, right? What I wanted to do is I primarily wanted to create an ecosystem of artists such as dancers, singers,
Okay.
musicians, anchors. Let's say if Shanur was to have his wedding tomorrow, he wanted an anchor in Bhagalpur. What he will
Okay.
probably do is go to my website, see different demographic artists available on the platform. Let's say if he wants to search from Bihar or maybe Patna or maybe Mumbai, whatever it
Okay.
is, you can see all the list of artists and profiles which are listed on the platform. You can see
Okay.
their profile all together, which is similar to what LinkedIn does in a nutshell. And then you
Okay.
can directly book the artists and then pay us a commission upfront of 10%. So that was the main idea through which I started. The company could not run due to a lot of failures and experience related concerns at our end. I did go
Okay.
through a lot of troubles in understanding how does the platform evolve. Is there something that we need to pivot or
Okay.
probably take the platform on a higher next level? But there was a lot of funding crunch at that point of time. The
Okay.
economy wasn't stable because COVID had already hit, and there was probably like not even 10% of events and functions that were happening in the entire world and the at a
Okay.
global level itself, which is why we had to shut it down. I did try pivoting it a little bit to fashion and marketing, but it did not exactly happen. Post that, I joined my next venture, which was Nova Benefits, which is the
Okay.
corporate, insurance startup, which is where I met Shanu. I had a great relationship with him, albeit for just 6 months, but then we did carry it on to today itself as well. So I
Okay.
did, corporate relations at least for a 6 months of stint that I had with Nova. Understood
Okay.
the phase where I speak with the CXOs of mid-sized enterprises, which are primarily into any single domain that they were at.
Okay.
generally speaking to VPs and CHROs and CEOs and CXOs. If it's primarily a startup, CEOs and founders is something that we spoke to. But if it's a large size company where those founders are not available and they don't really handle the business right now, we
Mm-hmm.
generally spoke to the CHROs because that's where the most money comes in and there's the decision making power which is attached to it. So that's primarily stakeholder management. I will also give you a quick insight on how stakeholder management is done in SaaS
Okay.
companies. How do you plan and execute a deal going forward? How do you prospect a deal and what are the steps related to it? But
Exactly.
that's where I currently land at. I have been currently working with WebEngage for the past 1.5 years, close to that. And right now, I've been working primarily with startups and the mid-sized enterprises. So I currently am only speaking with founders. I have
Okay.
almost onboarded around 90 plus startups in the entire Indian ecosystem. All the creamiest layer of startups where they've probably been funded at least 1 million or $2 million in pre-seed
Okay.
funds. That is where my target market lies. I've
Got it.
onboarded quite a good number of startups in the Indian ecosystem, if you're aware of Stoa and a lot of others too. So we've
Great.
onboarded that, and the journey right now is primarily revolving around how do I build the product enthusiasm amongst customers and how do I propose value as a platform. So
Great. Great.
I don't exactly ask people to look at us as a SaaS platform, but look at us as more like a revenue generating tool rather than
Got
just
it.
looking at it as a tool
So,
which can
what type
automate
of
your.
product basically you are handling in
Yeah, yeah.
Web Engage
So
actually?
I'll give you an insight. WebEngage as a platform has been around in the Indian market for around 12 years now,
Okay.
and we have already raised around 200 crores of funds from the largest of investors across the globe. And I currently handle the startup partnerships business here, where so to give you a quick idea about WebEngage, what we do is think of it this way: you add a product to cart on Myntra, and
Okay.
as soon as you do that, you receive a notification saying that, hey, Shanur, you left this product in your cart. Here's a 10% off if you purchase now. This
Okay.
primarily happens on email, SMS, WhatsApp, push notifications, and so on and so forth. So, what we generally do is we help you automate this entire process. So,
Okay.
so let's say, Shanur, you have a website right now for Frenzy. Right now, it's primarily B2B. Let's say it's a D2C website where you're selling
Okay.
sneakers. Now, what happens is there might be a lot of visitors who are coming to your website. There are different touch points on the visitors. They're browsing different products. What we will be able to do is we will be able to combine all those data points for every particular user in a single platform. Now,
Okay.
based on those, let's say if Shanur was browsing product X, Y, and Z, and Akil was browsing product X, Y, and Z. So, what we will be able to do is, let's say all the users who are browsing product X, you can create a segment of all those people
Okay.
and then run targeted campaigns saying that, hey, Akhil, you were browsing product X, here are some recommendations on the same. If you buy now, you get a 10% off. So that is primarily where we are currently headed. It's primarily automation of marketing and engaging your users with personalized messages. So if I ask
Got
you a question today saying that if you were to receive you're aware of Easy Diner, right, Shanu?
it. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're aware of Easy Diner, if you install that application on your mobile and they are anyway our customers, if you receive a notification from Easy Diner saying that, hey there, you probably might have missed out on this offer that you were looking at, rather than compared to it, if you receive a notification saying that, hey Shanu, uh, uh, let's say a hotel near your house, or let's say a Mervan's shop cake that is near your house is offering a 10-20% discount. That is where the personalization engine comes into the picture, where we geolocate your particular GPS location. Based on that, we send you recommendations of all the hotels and restaurants that are near your place. So that becomes very hyper personalized rather than just vanilla marketing and generic marketing saying that, hey, we have launched a new offer. Just it should highly oblige Shahnur as a customer to engage with that message. So
and
that's the
and it
idea.
is purely like customized even in the mobile, so the
Absolutely customized
basically
to a particular customer.
people always used to stuck on the mobile, so it has
Exactly.
definitely a high chance of getting engagement for that type
Exactly.
of
And that too,
notification.
a problem with currently, I think even you might be aware of this problem that you might be getting 10,000 different notifications from brands. The
Yes.
problem comes when you need to you know, how do you stand out as a push notification that you're sending? So it should ideally be hyper personalized and customized to what the person would feel likely to engage with.
Exactly. The
And
customer
that too,
should
if
not
I'm
turn off the notification.
exactly, a lot of
Sometimes
people
we turn
turn
off
on
the
these
notification.
notifications as well. Correct, because
Yeah.
of a lot of generic marketing that has been done by a lot of brands previously. Another important segment that we've added is we also identify the most likely to engage time with to engage your users. So let's say right now, if at this particular moment I'm sending you a notification, you'll probably swipe it up. But if I
Right.
send you a notification between, let's say, 8 to 10 p.m. at night, which is your preferred timing, you may, have a tendency to click on that notification and go to the offer that is
Exactly.
presented to you. So
Right.
that's the way we have gone about it. We have been working with close to 800 plus D2C brands. No, if you are aware of platforms like ET Money, Stock Grow, Deserve, Scriptbox, all these platforms are already working with Web Engage right now. And we've got good traction in terms of our revenue as well. We've been growing pretty good in
So the
terms of our
notification which
engagement.
I'm getting from ET, that is exactly coming
Everything
from
is done by
Webengage.
WebEngage, whether it is push notifications, whether it is email, SMS, WhatsApp, even for that matter, Mintra as a customer has been working with WebEngage for some time now.
Gotcha. It's a great journey, Akhil. Hope audience will also love you, like your journey from building any startup to like working in Nova
Which is
Benefits
why I've
now.
taken all these learnings
Yeah,
and then
exactly,
established.
exactly. And like how it is helpful, Akhil, like you have is building, you were building some of the startup, right? I'll go through the question, but I just wanted to understand like how it is beneficial for you when you come to the full-time employee in a SaaS company. But
Understood. So
previously you
that's a
were
very
building a
good
startup.
question. What I felt when I was building a startup, right? I felt that there's some lack of expertise in how do you effectively build a brand. So
Yeah.
आपके पास दो चीजें हो सकती हैं, या तो आपके पास इतना पैसा है कि आप उसको बर्न करते करते ऑन द रोड सीखो, या दूसरी चीज ये हो सकती है कि आप पहले एम्प्लॉय बन करके कहीं पर सीखो एंड देन गो बैक टू बिल्डिंग
Yeah.
योर ओन स्टार्टअप, बिकॉज
क्योंकि मेनली आपने जो ट्रैक फॉलो किया वो रिवर्स वाला किया
करेक्ट
मेनली
करेक्ट
what basically people do, they do first job for 2 to 3 years, understand the product,
एंड
SaaS thing,
देन गो
then they
बैक टू
start the
बीइंग अ
product.
स्टार्टअप. बट अगर
But
मैंने
you
ऑलरेडी
have done
स्टार्टअप
reverse
कर दिया है,
engineering.
आई काइंड ऑफ अंडरस्टैंड कि अब मुझे क्या करना है व्हेन आई गो बैक टू द स्टार्टअप स्पेस. There are
That
still
is
some
great.
lot of learnings which I feel could be incorporated, and then maybe I'll start my own startup. But for the time being, I do feel that I kind of have an idea कि मैंने उस वक्त क्या गलती की थी जो कि मुझे अभी नहीं करना है.
Exactly. That is good. It will definitely help you. So now coming to our second question, which is like how basically SaaS product is different from traditional product. Okay.
Right,
And
right,
like what exactly SaaS product is. Like if in a layman term, if you
right,
can
right.
explain to our user, like what exactly SaaS product is.
Absolutely. So, good question. To give you a firm understanding, आप किसी भी business को अगर बनाते हो, the primary goal for you to make a business is two things. Generally, either you are increasing revenue for a brand, or you are reducing the cost of whatever has been happening with the brand already, right? That's
Okay.
where the primary goal comes in, and you are increasing efficiency for the brand. That's where the primary goal comes in अगर आप किसी भी brand को build करते हो. So software as a service, the term SaaS essentially says that it's software as a service. Now it is something that is built upon an existing problem जो अभी already companies face कर रही हैं, like either managing its marketing जो उनसे नहीं हो पा रहा है, उनका RevOps हो गया, उनका logistics हो गया, which is like, which if it, अगर आप एक एग्जांपल लो, लेट्स से फ्रेंजी, लाइक फ्रेंजी एज अ कंपनी could be having different set of problems. अब अगर आपका एक कोर बिजनेस है जिसको आपको वैल्यू करना है, आप एक दूसरे प्रॉब्लम की तरफ जा रहे हो जो कि आपको ज्यादा रेवेन्यू नहीं दे पाएगा, एंड इट माइट नॉट
Mhm.
बी अलाइनिंग विथ योर कोर बिजनेस टू बी ऑनेस्ट. तो आप उस प्रोडक्ट को क्यों बिल्ड करने जाओगे जब आपका मेन फोकस किसी और चीज को बिल्ड करना है? So the
Exactly.
vision of a company essentially is to build one product, but not exactly understanding कि वहां पर एक और problem है जो कि मुझे solve नहीं करना है. There could be some other company that can solve for that particular problem.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and it takes, and honestly it takes massive amount of resources to build a SaaS company itself, which is where we thought that if the businesses should not ideally shift its focus from whatever they are currently doing as a vision. आप एक उस प्रॉब्लम को जो आप फेस कर रहे हो किसी और कंपनी को दो दैट कैन एक्चुअली सॉल्व योर प्रॉब्लम मच
Exactly.
इफेक्टिवली देन यू कैन डू
Exactly.
इट. सो
For your case, Akhil, for web engage case, I think economics times वो उनको news share करना है related to business,
एग्जैक्टली.
related to startup. So why they were
करेक्ट.
building the startup or a product which can share the notification. So they have
करेक्ट.
helped like वो उन्होंने
Exactly.
web engage create
Rather
किया.
than
That,
they themselves building a platform which will help them send those notifications, we have intelligently built all of those things in house for them. So that तो आपको एक Amazon like infrastructure नहीं चाहिए एक Amazon बनाने के लिए अभी. That's
right,
where I feel the difference comes into the picture. और अगर आप let's say कि आपके पास एक product है आप उस product पे focus कर रहे हो आपको एक और प्रॉब्लम दिख रहा है जो कि आपको पता है कि और कंपनी सॉल्व कोई और कंपनी आपके लिए वो सॉल्व कर सकती है. Why would
exactly,
you invest a lot of your massive time and resources to build for that problem जबकि आपका core problem कुछ और है जो आपको solve करना है. So for that
exactly,
matter, that is where a software as a service comes into the picture, where another company is handling some different set of problems that you are facing. Because as a company, when you are building, आपके पास हजार तरीके के problems आएंगे, but you need to ignore all of those problems and focus on what you are currently building. So for all those
exactly.
problems, there might be different SaaS companies that are handling it for a lot of other clients, and which is where it ideally revolves around a subscription basis. आप monthly subscription लो या फिर yearly लो या half yearly लो, that is where a software as a service comes into the picture.
Soft. I think it is clear for everyone. So coming to our third question, Akhil, like basically, suppose I want to start a SaaS business. If
Right.
someone from the audience want to start a SaaS business, so
Uh-huh.
what are the major things he should have, like in terms of capital,
Correct,
generally in
correct.
terms of tech knowledge, in terms of money? Sorry, money I have already mentioned. In terms of team, तो
Mhm.
पहला चीज सिंपल है कि कैसी टीम होनी चाहिए अपने पास. टेक नॉलेज होना चाहिए, अगर होना चाहिए तो किस टाइप का होना चाहिए. सेकंड, व्हाट आर द
Right.
कैपिटल which needed to start a SaaS business.
Correct.
So we can have
So
discussion on that.
I can give you a answer to this based on what my experience has been with SaaS, because I will not be able to give you very in-depth understanding, but I can give you a superficial layer on how I have seen SaaS businesses building. And I've been reading a lot about the SaaS industry, whether it is, and two of my most favorite companies happen to be Zoho and Freshworks. They've been doing great in the industry. And
True.
I feel that they'll be probably one of the best companies to work for in the near future as well. But to answer your question, हाउ डू यू स्टार्ट अ SaaS बिजनेस, तो पहले तो आपको ये आइडेंटिफाई करना पड़ेगा दैट whatever problem that you are currently facing, is it a large enough problem for an industry. आपके पास
Okay.
एक ऐसा प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है जो कि बहुत सारे लोग और फेस नहीं कर रहे हो. सो इफ यू गो टू द मार्केट एंड आप ये प्रोडक्ट दिखाते हो कि मैंने बनाया है एंड यू ऑलरेडी बिल्ट द प्रोडक्ट, ऑलरेडी सब कुछ आपने कर दिया है, पैसे खर्च कर दिए, देन यू गो टू द मार्केट, यू सी दैट इसके लिए तो मार्केट में यूजर्स ही अवेलेबल है.
Mm-hmm.
दैट इज नॉट हाउ यू बिल्ड इट. आपको पहले ये करना होगा, यू गो टू द पीपल एंड से कि अगर आपके पास एक ऐसा प्रोडक्ट रहता है, एंड डोंट गो टू योर फ्रेंड्स एंड फैमिली. वो आपको कभी भी प्रोडक्टिव फीडबैक नहीं दे सकते ऑन हाउ टू बिल्ड इट, बिकॉज दे बी ऑफ द ओपिनियन दैट यार इसको डीमोटिवेट नहीं कर सकते हम. सो इट
Exactly.
इज बेटर दैट यू गो टू समवन व्हिच इज प्रोबेबली अ
Who will
स्ट्रेंजर
buy your
एंड
product? Not your
करेक्ट.
family, because your family won't buy your product. Even you will not buy your product.
Correct. Essentially,
So you have,
you should ideally go to where your target market lies. Someone, probably your previous bosses or some companies that you previously worked with, go to them, say that this is something that I'm trying to build. Do you see it being adding value? और अगर वो बोल देते हैं हाँ, तो फिर आप उनको बोलो कि यार मैं इसके लिए 5,000 रुपए चार्ज करूँगा. Then you will understand the reaction of those people, whether or not they feel it worthy enough to actually invest money in that particular problem. अगर वो ही नहीं बाय कर पाएंगे, then probably no one else in the world would buy, because you have already established a relationship with that person and they're still not buying it for 5,000 rupees. That is one very important thing. So you need to first figure out what problems are large enough to solve for a market. And दूसरी बात जो आपने बोली, टीम, यार टीम is extremely important. The first few hires that you do in a SaaS team would eventually be extrapolated to the rest of your team members which will be coming in the next few months, because that is
okay.
where the culture lifestyle begins. the life cycle of a company's stage and culture depends on the first few hires, on how they've adapted to the company's culture and how they can
Okay.
build the culture itself, which is where more important so than the fact that they are highly skilled, आपको ये भी देखना होगा whether or not they are culturally fit to be leading a team of 10, 50, 100 people.
Right.
So that's a very important factor to take a look on when you are talking about the team sizing and how you are trying to build a team.
Yeah.
And I
And
definitely feel that जब भी आप team build कर रहे हो, there are two main factors that you need to look at. How skilled is the person to actually be responsible for a role, and उसमें managerial capabilities भी होना चाहिए. अगर वो skillful है वो ठीक है, but अगर वो managerial नहीं है, then probably your company essentially will not be able to scale up to a level that you would want to, because
right.
आप अगर अपना काम किसी और को delegate नहीं कर पा रहे हो सही से, then you will not be able to help your company move forward. ऐसा हो सकता है कि आपके पहले 10 customers के लिए वो बंदा बहुत skillful है, वो कर सकता है, but he is
Mm-hmm.
not being able to delegate it to different people of their own genres, which again become
Right.
very difficult for you to scale. So that's the team building aspect in mind. Another problem that I feel is, let's say if you hired a CTO for a SaaS company that you're trying to build, honestly funding
So
के
I
मामले में,
just one interruption actually. Like
yeah,
how like techy you should be to start a business. Like there and there is a one point everyone have misconception that you should know something tech. You should have tech knowledge to start a SaaS product. So is it necessary or you can borrow that skill? So
so
just clear
I'll
this
tell
thing.
you.
No?
So there are two sides of the coin, right? Let's say if you're building a SaaS company, so there are three portions of it. First, first could be that you're yourself a CTO or a good engineer background person who can build a SaaS company based on what problems that you have identified. That is the win-win scenario. दूसरी चीज ये आती है that you are not in a SaaS background itself for the time being. They you do not exactly have the capabilities to build a product like this, but you know that this product essentially, if gone in the market, will definitely create a rupture. तो उसके लिए आपको either there are two things that you can do. And to be honest, to answer your first question, yes, you need good amount of tech to actually build a SaaS product. अब वो बाहर से आप लेके आते हो या फिर आप इन हाउस बनाते हो, that is totally your work. But from my
Right.
understanding, what I feel is, rather than investing your time to build a product, you can outsource it to a company for just a minimum viable product. तो आप एक ऐसा वर्जन ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट बनाओ, एक ऐसा लैंडिंग पेज बनाओ और जाके लोगों को दिखाओ दैट इफ आई वर टू ऑफर दिस टू यू इन 5,000 10,000 रुपीज, वुड यू वांट टू बाय इट? एंड अगर आपको रिस्पॉन्स बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा मिलता है, तब फिर आप उस प्रोडक्ट को बिल्ड करने के लिए आइदर टेक अ सीटीओ इन और प्रोबेबली someone who's head of engineering for a firm, and then give him some ESOPs and salaries and so on and so forth, and then build the product. So to answer your question, yes, tech is extremely important to build. अब वो कैसे आप लाते हो and in what phase आप लाते हो of the business is very important. So
So
either
to
आप,
summarize your point, basically, just I just want to summarize like your fundamental of business should be clear. Like what
correct,
exactly the problem your software will solve, to whom you will sell your product, who will be your target audience, whether you can deliver your product or not. If that
exactly,
is clear, you can build your SaaS product. You can build your
correct,
SaaS company, right? But
correct, and you
if
can
your
build your
fundamental
SaaS
is not
company.
clear, then if you know the tech also, if you make a good product also, but there's no customer for the product. So I think
Exactly. That's where the sales idea and angle comes into the picture, right? I feel, and I have been speaking to a lot of founders lately and a lot of angel investors and venture capitalists lately. उनका focus एक चीज पे बहुत ज्यादा रहता है, and this is for everyone to learn and listen. If a founder himself creates a product with the help of anyone, whether it is an outsourced company or one of his friends, and if he is being able to sell that product to the first 10 customers in his entirety of his relationship that he's primarily built, he is now ready to scale the company with good amount of salespeople. So अगर आप खुद का ही प्रोडक्ट खुद ही नहीं बेच पाओगे, it does not make any sense for you to, how will you coach the other person to sell a product that you have not been able to sell it to someone that you've already established relationships with, right?
exactly.
So that's where
Okay.
I feel, and since I've been speaking to a lot of venture capitalists and all those angel investors too, that is this is again a very important factor that अगर आपको कोई प्रोडक्ट बिल्ड करना ही है पहले आप खुद उसको बेचो अगर आप खुद उसमें बेचने में सक्सेसफुल हो जाते हो then go ahead and build a good team of sales people who will be able to help you with the entire journey.
Okay. So we can also say like this, actually, it's just an add-on. If you want to build a SaaS business, so in a team, there should be at least two-person. First, who can make a great product in terms of market demand after like doing market research. It should have product fit, right? And one who can sell it to the market. So there should
Right.
be two member in your team. One who can make a great product in terms of
And one who can sell it.
product market fit, in terms
Correct.
of like market demand, and another who can deliver successful to the customer, right?
Correct. Correct.
So if
And
this, yeah,
correct.
yeah,
And the alignment between those two people will be very high. So
yeah,
it should not be like Shahnur and Akil wants to build a product and Shahnur has the CTO capability to build it. But Akil as a particular person or probably the founder and CEO does not have the zeal enough to make it happen. Which means if Shanur builds a great product and he is willing to sell it and he kind of knows that this product will go out in the market and create a great disturbance across the market, the founder and CEO or the person whose primarily his job is to sell it, if he does not align with the vision of Shanur, then the journey breaks for those two people, right? So you need to be aligned on what you need to do to build a great product and a great business. And this is where I feel investors will also take a great look. If the synergy between those two founders is not matching and you don't have complementary skill sets, अगर आप सेल कर रहे हो आप ही बेच रहे हो आप ही बना रहे हो then it does not work out even though
yeah,
you
it
have the
will,
best product in the market अगर आप ही एक बंदा हो जिसको सिर्फ आपके प्रोडक्ट से प्यार है you will not be able to sell it neither
yeah,
will you be
because
able to sell it to investors nor will you be able to sell it in the market.
exactly, exactly, because वो प्यार सारे कस्टमर को भी होना चाहिए. Like
Exactly.
app, if you will not going to buy the product, because I generally feel, Akhil, what people do mistake when generally they start a startup. First they build product, then they find customer for the product. What I
Ah,
think, first you have to search customer,
correct.
their problem, then build your product. So
Exactly.
basically these type of engineering should come first before
Correct.
building product. उसके बाद sales team को hire कर रहे हैं, उन पे pressure बना रहे हैं कि product को बेचो, ऐसा नहीं.
वही
First
वही
you
correct.
have to understand the problem, then make product. अगर problem नहीं है तो product बनाओ ही नहीं. I
Exactly.
think like
And
some of the
yes,
point which I have
to
added.
exactly, absolutely great point. And to give you a certain, to make your decision making faster in this, I think I read an article from Paul Graham, who's probably one of the presidents of Y Combinators, that is a venture capital and accelerator industry in across the US. Uh, there's a particular certain article which he outlines to validate your MVP. So, how do you
Okay,
actually go in the market and identify the right kind of people who should buy it? And if you're seeing good traction in that, you should ideally be able to build the next level of your product. So, there's a
okay,
particular article to it. Probably I can link it down in the show notes of this video. I'll send it across to you, Shanu. You can link it down here so that people will
okay,
be able to understand it much better on how do they actually go about thinking about an MVP and how do they take it to the market to actually validate कि ये product की ज़रूरत लोगों को actually है या नहीं.
okay, okay. Fine. So I think we got clear understanding of SaaS product, how to build it, what are the things which we require, and Akhil, you have clearly explained. But the last question, which I think you are expert, even more expert than anything else, which is like advice for the SaaS sales especially, like how they can make a good relationship with the customer and how they can get more and more customer, like prospecting, or like how it is different from like traditional sales. What are the things which a salesperson
Right. So
should prepare or should know? Yeah.
good question. So this is probably a question that I have been advising a lot of people on as well. Someone who's primarily into the B2C space or an
Okay.
edtech space or maybe any other space that is primarily concerned with the consumer market.
Consumer business.
How do they transition into a SaaS sales ecosystem? But if this is the question that people ask me, I think their line to cross the B2C vertical is blurred. So if this is exactly the question that they ask, because they might have already done some research on what exactly could be the pain points that I need to address for him to enter into the B2B SaaS sales market. Because अगर
Okay.
आपके पास already एक zeal है कि आपको SaaS sales में जाना है, you might already have researched some good amount of things and then come to me saying that Akhil, I need to go to the SaaS sales industry. Rather than that,
Okay.
if you come back to me with a very broad questionnaire saying that यार मुझे स्टार्ट करना है बट मुझे पता नहीं कहाँ से स्टार्ट करना है, यू शुड आइडली हैव सम आइडिया ऑन व्हाट एग्जैक्टली SaaS इज, हाउ डू यू सी a lot of SaaS companies booming in India. तो आप खुद थोड़ा रिसर्च करके आओ और मुझसे पूछो कि यार मुझे लग रहा है कि I don't know now, I don't know where to start. Then probably your
Okay.
idea of going into SaaS or probably helping me out with the prospecting strategy would work out well. So, but let's say if you have identified this particular problem कि आपको SaaS में जाना है, आपको already पता है कि SaaS companies कैसे काम कर रहे हैं, and there are some certain companies that you have already selected. Now, the best part about SaaS is their compensation structure. आप कहीं पे भी जाओगे, the best part, and that to give you a certain understanding, like अभी market scenario in terms of funding has been very low, right? But
Yeah.
to give you a consideration, and in terms of the funding distribution that has happened from last year compared to this year, even today, 30% of the funding contribution has gone to SaaS ecosystem and all the others combined, which is a
Mhm.
huge number, to be honest. So
And
आपको
if you will
compensation,
also combine the consumer business of SaaS
right,
consumer
right.
business, so
हाँ,
it will
if
more,
you
I feel.
combine again, मतलब I'm still accurately concerned only about the SaaS system right now. But if I
Mhm.
combine the consumer SaaS ecosystem as well, I think Flipkart and Myntra's of the world, I think that will make up a huge amount of B2C market
Exactly.
share as well. So from that angle, तो यार काफी ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. But to be honest, I'm strictly specifically into the software as a service model. So from that perspective onwards, strictly speaking about the SaaS model, 30% of the distribution has come from the funding ecosystem to the SaaS industry. But yes, so that's one part of it. And how do you go about, understanding which companies that you would want to align for? So सबसे पहली तो बात ये होनी चाहिए that आपको कुछ आइडिया होना चाहिए ऑन व्हाट कंपनीज आर यू प्लानिंग टू गो फॉरवर्ड टू, बिकॉज SaaS में एक बहुत बड़ा, बिकॉज ऑनेस्टली इट्स नॉट लाइक आप किसी भी कंपनी में जाके एक्सेल कर सकते हो. देयर इज पर्टिकुलर सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट इंटरेस्ट ऑल्सो दैट यू नीड टू हैव. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि आप 50,000 कंपनीज के लिए अप्लाई कर दो, बिकॉज देर आर ऑनेस्टली अ लॉट ऑफ कंपनीज इन साइज. अब अगर आप
Mhm.
हर एक कंपनीज में अलग अलग से अप्लाई करने लगोगे विदाउट हैविंग एनी आइडिया ऑन व्हाट दोस कंपनीज डू, इट माइट नॉट वर्क आउट द बेस्ट इन योर फेवर. So you need to
Exactly.
select the first 10, 15 or 20 companies that you actually need to, dive a little deeper on. और हर एक के लिए there could be some different strategy that you can work out. Of course, the process itself could be similar, but आपके लिए जो the kind of resume or the CV that they are wanting to ask, जो आपके लिए जो job description mentioned है, उस बेसिस पे आप उसको सीवी बना के दो. द वर्ड्स दैट आर मेंशन्ड इन द जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन, इफ इट इज अलाइनिंग विद योर सीवी एज वेल, देन द प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ यू गेटिंग सिलेक्टेड इन द फर्स्ट राउंड विल आल्सो बी वेरी इजी. तो
Got it.
सबसे
Got
पहली चीज तो आप अपने रेफरल नेटवर्क में खोलो.
it.
आप
Mhm.
देखो कि आपके पास कितने लोग हैं जो ट्रांजिशन किए हैं बी टू सी से या बी टू बी से एडटेक वगैरह, जो भी एडटेक से सास से.
Mhm.
पहले अगर आप उसमें आपको नहीं मिलता है, देन गो ऑन टू लिंक्डइन. आप जितने भी कंपनीज ने आपने सिलेक्ट किया है, लेट्स से 10-15 कंपनीज आपने सिलेक्ट करके रखा है, अब उस
Mhm.
कंपनीज में जाके आप देखो कि मैं 5 से 6 लोगों को उसमें से कनेक्शन रिक्वेस्ट भेज देता हूँ. अब उसमें से कोई एक या दो तो बंदा होगा एटलीस्ट जो एक्सेप्ट करेगा. Then go
Okay.
ahead and ask him for a referral. This is the next way of going about it, and the referral should not be saying that, "Hey Shanur, I would like to work in your company." Make it very
Mhm.
interesting for those people to reply. क्या उनको क्या मिलेगा, what is exactly, like probably you can send them a video, या फिर आपने अगर कोई फ्रिंजी के बारे में पोस्ट डाला है, let's say you're currently
Mhm.
hiring right now. So for you as a founder, अगर आप directly founder को भी मैसेज करना चाहते हो कर सकते हो, but it should be very quirky and interesting for a founder to read. अगर आप किसी को हायर कर रहे हो, you cannot exactly consider everyone for the job, right? There are thousand
Okay.
people who can apply for the job itself. So for you need to understand, and maybe let's say शानूर ने अभी कुछ दिन पहले कुछ और पोस्ट किया होगा, maybe comment on that particular post and see अगर उस basis पे आप उसको कुछ request भेज सकते हो, and personalize and hyper personalize that message for Shanur, saying that this is where I feel I can fit into the role, and this is the value add that I can do in terms of coming into the company. So that phase essentially could be solved. और उसके बाद फिर देर आर डिफरेंट प्रोसेसेस कि आप जैसे ही इंटरव्यू फेज में पहुंच जाते हो, एज सुन एज द इंटरव्यू इज शेड्यूल्ड, there are different things to know about, different things to ask about, a lot of things that you can do on the
Right.
job. But the first thing is to identify the right set of companies that you feel would be important to you, and you can probably have a culture fit there. And also to have that faith in mind कि हाँ मैं 10,000 कंपनी में अप्लाई करके 50,000 रिजेक्ट नहीं करना चाहता हूँ. I'll apply to 10 but I'll get 3 interviews. That's
Right.
where I feel the difference lies in.
Right. So I think we have covered all the questions. Like our audience like got everything about the SaaS product. And I think one of the thing which I just want to mention, those who want to start a SaaS product, I think Akhil, you also will agree to me that if the SaaS product enjoy a very high gross margin compared
Correct.
to the normal product, right? The
Right, right, right.
margin, the MRR, the revenue model of the SaaS is very high. If you really want to build or open your SaaS company, right,
Correct.
you can make a product. You can maybe it can initially it can be failed, but once it becomes successful, it can create a passive income for you.
Correct.
Definitely.
So it could also create a passive income in sorts because it's not a one-time purchase product, right? You are getting
Yeah.
every single month the money, the subscription that is coming in. It's not a one-time product fee that
Exactly.
you're paying.
Exactly.
So you're
The
getting money
MRR
every
model,
single
right?
month, and then your correct, usko MRR बोलते हैं, and then your ARR in terms of that will be increasing a hell lot more because
Exactly.
companies do not stop paying you after the first month onwards itself. So if you're building a company, I feel SaaS could be a great model to work on. That's one. Second thing is if you want to scale the company, probably आपको burn करना पड़ेगा a lot of money in terms of that. But if you want to take it in a bootstrap manner like what Zoho did, you have the
It
option
will
of doing
take
that.
time.
Yeah, yeah. Zoho is totally bootstrap and they currently have around 100 million customers across the globe. So imagine the impact how a bootstrap company like Zoho has registered itself in the Nasdaq Times and New York Stock Exchange and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
So that's the idea I would leave people with. The only thing that you need to have is a vision to build a product, is to validate the product in the market, go about and understand whether or not people need it and charge them for it. अगर वो पैसे पे करने के लिए ready हैं, only then go about and build the product in the best version possible.
That is great. So I think our audience got the gist of everything. So I think we have covered everything, Akhil, right? There is not much thing left for the SaaS thing. Now SaaS बहुत ज़्यादा sassy हो गया है. Now we can wind up the session. And once again, thank you very much, Akhil. And
I
thanks
hope
for
it was a
joining us.
good learning session for everyone
And
who
like
was
you
there
have
on the call.
like pretty much compiled all your experience in a 30 minutes call. And that
Right,
is a
right.
good skill again. Okay.
I'm hoping
So
it could give you some idea on how I've
yeah.
transformed from being an entrepreneur to now a sales specialist and leading the pack of some people.
Okay. Right.
So
Exactly.
glad to be here, Shanul. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
inviting me on the call, and I hope it was a learning session for all those people who were there.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Shanul. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Take care.